Okay, this is part 69 of Nos4a2. Sugar Creek, Pennsylvania. Sun, sun, go away, the gas mask man said and yawned. Come again some other day. The gas mask man was silent for a moment and then said shyly, I had a nice dream. I dreamed about Christmas Land. I hope you liked it, Mannix said. The mess you have made of things, dreaming about Christmas Land, is all you will do. The gas mask man shrank down in his seat and put his hands over his ears. They were in a place of hills and high grasses, beneath blue summer sky. A finger lake shone below them to the left, a long splinter of mirror dropped amid 100-foot pines. The valleys caught patches of morning mist, but they would burn off soon enough. Wayne rubbed his hands hard into his eye sockets, his brain still half asleep. His forehead and cheeks felt fevery. He sighed, and was surprised to see pale vapor issue from his nostrils, just like in his dream. He had not realized it was so cold in the back seat. I'm freezing, Wayne said, although if anything he felt warm, not cold. These mornings can be very raw, Mannix said. You will feel better soon. Where are we? Wayne asked. Mannix glanced back at him. Pennsylvania. We have been driving all night, and you have been sleeping like a baby. Wayne blinked at him, perturbed and disoriented, although it took him a moment to figure out why. The pad of white gauze was still taped over the ruin of Mannix's left ear, but he had stripped off the bandage wrapped around his forehead. The 6-inch slash across his forehead was black and rancid-looking, a Frankenstein scar, and yet it looked as if it had been healing for 12 days, not 12 hours. Mannix's color was better, his eyes sharper, bright with humor and goodwill toward men. Your face is better, Wayne said. It is a little easier on the eyes, I guess, but I will not be entering a beauty contest any time soon. How come you're better? Wayne asked. Mannix thought about that for a bit, then said, The car takes care of me. It is going to take care of you, too. It's because we're on the road to Christmas Land, said the gas mask man, looking over his shoulder and smiling. It takes your frown and turns it upside down. Isn't that right, Mr. Mannix? I am in no frame of mind for your rhyming idiocies, Bang, Mannix said. Play Quaker meeting, why don't you? Nos4a2 drove south, and no one spoke for a while. In the silence, Wayne took stock. In his whole life, he had never been as scared as he had been the afternoon before. His throat was still hoarse from all the screaming he had done. Now, though, it was as if he were a jug, and every last drop of bad feeling had been poured out of him. The interior of the Rolls-Royce brimmed with golden sunlight. Motes of dust burned in a ray of brilliance, and Wayne raised a hand to swipe at them and watch them roil around like sand whirling through water. His mother had dived into the water to get away from the gas mask man, he remembered, and he twitched. For a moment he felt a jolt of yesterday's fear, as fresh and raw as if he had touched a striped copper line and been zapped. What frightened him was not the thought that he was a prisoner of Charlie Mannix, but that for a moment he had forgotten he was a prisoner. For a moment he had been admiring the light and feeling almost happy. He shifted his gaze to the walnut drawer sat below the seat in front of him, where he had hidden his phone. Then he glanced up and discovered Mannix watching him in the rearview mirror, smiling just slightly. Wayne shrank back into his seat. You said you owed me one, Wayne said. I did, and I do, Mannix said. I want to call my mother. I want to tell her I'm all right. Mannix nodded, eyes on the road, hand on the wheel. Had the car been driving itself yesterday? Wayne had a memory of the steering wheel turning on its own while Mannix moaned and the gas mask man wiped blood from his face, but this recollection had the shiny, hyper-real quality of the sort of dreams that come to people while they are incapacitated with a particularly bad flu. Now in the bright, clear sunshine of morning, Wayne was not sure it had really happened. Also, the day was warming. He couldn't see his own breath anymore. It is very right that you should want to call her and tell her you are well. I expect, when we get where we are going, that you will want to call her every day. That is just being considerate. And of course she will want to know how you are doing. We will have to ring her up as soon as possible. I can hardly count that as the favor I owe you. What sort of beast would not let a child call his mother? Unfortunately, there is no easy place to stop and let you call, and neither of us thought to bring a phone with us, Mannix said. He turned his head and looked over to the divider at Wayne again. I don't suppose you thought to bring one, did you? And smiled. He knows, Wayne thought. He felt something shrivel inside him, and for a moment he was dangerously close to tears. No, he said in a voice that sounded almost normal. He had to fight to keep from looking at the wooden drawer at his feet. Mannix returned his gaze to the road. Oh well, it is too early to call her anyway. It is not even 6 in the morning, and after the day she had yesterday, we had better let her sleep in. He sighed and added, Your mother has more tattoos than a sailor. There was once a young lady from Yale, said the gas-masked man, who had verses tattooed on her tail, and on her behind for the sake of the blind a duplicate version in Braille. You rhyme too much, Wayne said. Mannix laughed, a big, unrefined hee-haw of a laugh, and slapped the wheel. That is for sure. Good old Bing Partridge is a rhyming demon. If you look to your Bible, you will see that those are the lowest sort of demon, but not without their uses. Bing rested his forehead against the window, looking out at the rolling countryside. Sheep grazed. Ba, ba, black sheep, Bing crooned softly to himself. Have you any wool? Mannix said. All those tattoos on your mother. Yes, Wayne said, thinking that if he looked in the drawer, the phone would probably not be there. He thought there was an excellent chance they had removed it while he slept. Maybe I am old-fashioned, but I view that as an invitation to men of poor character to stare. Do you think she likes that sort of attention? There was once a whore from Peru, whispered the gas-masked man, and he giggled softly to himself. They're pretty, Wayne said. Is that why your father divorced her? Because he did not like her to go out in that way, with her legs bare and painted to distract men? He didn't divorce her. They never got married. Mannix laughed again. There is a big surprise. They had left the highway and had slipped out of the hills and into a sleepy town. It was a sorry, abandoned-looking place. Storefront windows were soaped over, signs in them saying "For Rent." Plywood sheeting had been nailed up inside the doors of the movie theater, and the marquee read, Mary, M-E-R-Y, Xmas, Sugar, E-E-K-P-A. Christmas lights hung from it, although it was July. Wayne couldn't stand not knowing about his phone. He could just reach the drawer with his foot. He inched his toe under the handle. She has a sturdy, athletic look to her. I will give you that, Mannix said, although Wayne was hardly listening. I suppose she has a boyfriend, Wayne said. I'm her boyfriend, she says. Ha ha, every mother says that to her son. Your father is older than your mother? I don't know. I guess a little. Wayne caught the drawer with his toe and slid it back an inch. The phone was still there. He nudged it shut. Later. If he went for it now, they would just take it away. Do you think she is inclined to look favorably upon older men? Mannix asked. It bewildered Wayne that Mannix was going on and on about his mother and her tattoos and what she thought about older men. He could not have been more confused if Mannix had begun to ask him questions about sea lions or sports cars. He couldn't even remember how they had gotten on this particular subject, and he struggled to think it out, to run the conversation in reverse. You think in reverse, Wayne thought. Reverse in think you if. Dead Grandma Lindy had been in his dream, and everything she said came out backward. Most of what she said to him was gone now, forgotten, but that part of it came back to him with perfect clarity, like a message in invisible ink darkening and appearing on paper held above a flame. If you think in reverse, what? He didn't know. The car stopped at an intersection. A middle-aged woman stood on the curb 8 feet away. She was in shorts and a headband, jogging in place. She was waiting for her walk light, even though there was no cross traffic. Wayne acted without thought. He flung himself at the door and banged his hand on the glass. Help! He screamed. Help me! The jogging woman frowned and looked around. She stared at the Rolls-Royce. Please help! Wayne screamed, slapping the window. She smiled and waved. The light changed. Mannix rolled sedately through the intersection. To the left, on the other side of the street, Wayne saw a man in a uniform coming out of a donut shop. He wore what looked like a policeman's cap and a blue windbreaker. Wayne pitched himself across the car and banged his fist on the other window. As he did, the man came into focus. Wayne could see it was a postman, not a policeman. A podgy man in his mid-50s. Help me! I'm being kidnapped! Help! 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 Wayne screamed, his voice cracking. He can't hear you, Mannix said. Or rather, he does not hear what you want him to hear. The postman looked at the rolls going by. He smiled and raised 2 fingers to the brim of his cap in a little salute. Mannix drove on. Are you done making such a racket? He said. Why don't they hear me? Wayne said. It's like they are always saying about Las Vegas. What happens in the Wraith stays in the Wraith. They were rolling out the other end of the little downtown beginning to accelerate, leaving behind the 4-block stretch of brick buildings and dusty storefronts. "Don't worry," Mannix said. "If you are tired of the road, we will be off it soon enough. I know I am getting ready for a break from all this highway. We are very close to where we are going." "Christmasland?" Wayne asked. Mannix pursed his lips in a thoughtful mew. "No, that is still a ways off." "The House of Sleep," the gas mask man told him.